What is going on, guys? My name is Danny Sully, and in this video I'm going to explain selling call options in simple terms. Now, the first thing to understand when selling a call option is that you need to own 100 shares of that company. So we're going to say that this seller owns 100 shares of Apple. So what we're going to say is that Apple's at $95 a share and this guy has 100 of them. So that means he has $9,500 in Apple at this time. Now let's say the guy that owns this amount of shares of Apple wants to sell a call option. What is he going to do? So in order to sell a call option, there needs to be an options premium price. So let's say for this case it's $5. What this means is that the buyer is going to ask the seller, hey, I think your stock will go above $100. Can I pay you $5 to hold those shares for me? Now what's going to happen is the seller is going to say yes, but if it doesn't go above that price, the seller gets to keep the money. What this $100 strike price means is that the buyer wants it to go above that price. Now when this buyer buys this option from you, he's hoping that the price of the stock actually goes above 105 because he has to pay this price in order to get that call strike price. So that means that he has to get above 105 to make any return. Now what this means for a seller when selling a call is you want the exact opposite thing to happen. So you actually want this price to go as low as it can, and you want it to be lower than this 105. Okay, one more time, let me explain this for you. Now the premium is the amount that this buyer is going to pay in order to have this option with you, the seller of all the shares. Now this buyer is paying $5 for every share in that contract by calling the option that it's going to be $100 by the end of the expiration date, which could be a week, 2 weeks, months. It could have any date. It could be a year from today when you're doing options. What that tells us is the break-even point, which is the point that the buyer wants it to go above, and now because you're the exact opposite, you're the seller, that's the point that you want it to stay below. Now you're probably asking, how does the buyer only pay $5? That's also incorrect, because when you're doing options, there's a contract, and the contract has 100 shares. So this price is actually going to be 5 times 100. Okay, so we multiplied the premium by 100 shares, and we have to do this to make the contract legal. You have to do this with every contract. So what that told us is that the buyer paid $500 to have the option of calling your stock. What this means is that he gave you $500 at that moment. So when you go to sell this call option, you're going to get $9,500 that you have already, plus the $500 that he paid you right at that moment. So what that's going to do is give us $10,000. So in your account, you won't see $9,500 for 100 shares. You're going to see $10,000. So now you're probably at the point of asking yourself, how does this make money or lose money? Where does the money standpoint come in? These are all numbers and all meanings of words, but where is the money's value now? Okay, so let's say you want to sell this option and you want it to be a month until expiration date. So that at the beginning of that period of the month, it's $95 to buy Apple's stock. Not the option, nothing related to option, just the stock. Now we're going to say that by the end of the month, the stock price goes up to $100 per share. Now that isn't above your break-even point. So what's going to happen is that if Apple hits 100 by the end of the month, your selling call option is going to be the break-even point subtracted by this price at the end of the month. So 105 minus 100, and that's going to give you $5. Now remember, it's an option with a contract of 100 shares, so you multiply that 5 by 100. And that's going to give you $500 of profit. So what that means is that if it did hit your strike price that you sold the option for, you would be able to make $500, and then you'd have $10,000 total cash. Now let's say instead of it going up to 100, it goes down to 90. So we're going to still do the break-even point subtracted by the final price at the end of the expiration date. And that's going to give us 15. 105 minus 90 gives us 15. But I crossed it off because when you're selling a call option, the most that you can get in return is 5. Because that's what the premium was. The most you can get is the credit you got initially. You can't get any more than the credit. So when shorting or selling a call option, the most you can get is the credit. But you can lose all of the shares that you have. If it keeps going up, you can lose all of it. So an example of showing you how you can lose everything, the rate that it would go, so say it went from 95 to the end of the month, the expiration date hit 115. If Apple stock hit 115, you subtract that break-even point, which is the strike price plus the premium, which would be 105 minus 115, what it's at now. That gives us negative 10 times 100, which would be negative 1,000. So that negative 1,000 is subtracted by the 9,500 that we had at the beginning. Okay, now if that confused any of you, there is another way to calculate this, which actually might make it easier to understand. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is start from the basic steps. So when you first sold this option, you had $9,500 and you got $500 credit, which means they gave you $500. This buyer gave you $500, which means that you have $10,000. Now you see, at the end of the month, it's still 115, and we're still doing the same calculations and getting the same output, but in this case, we're not doing the 9,500, we're doing it from where we started. So that means that we're subtracting the ending point from the strike price, which means 115 minus 100 gives us 15 times the 100 shares in the option. Remember, the contract that you have to do to make this all legal is $1,500. So you subtract 10,000 by $1,500, and then you get $8,500. So that's how much you would have at the end if the price was to go up to 115 for this premium when you sold that call option. Remember that you always get credit when selling a call option. So when you first sell a call option, you always get some sort of money back. It just depends on how much of a premium you have to pay. Now, it's very important to understand before purchasing an option that for selling call options, if the premium is lower, you have less risk. So that means that if your premium is $1, your strike price could be $110, which means your break-even point would be 111. Whereas if you have a higher premium, it's more risky because if it was $5, let's say your strike price was 100. That means your break-even point is 105. So the reason it's less risky to have a lower premium, it is much safer to have a stock below that number than it is below 105. If you guys have any questions or concerns, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you.